Hi guys, and welcome to 9-inch Charge, and it's the two Dannies once again coming at you.
Before we start, I feel like I need to speak about a hobby-related thing that we did. And it may not seem hobby-related at first, but I think we're on to something. So, we ordered those pizzas from that new place down the road that does 2 foot across pizzas.
Yes.
And you know how they came in boxes that were 2 foot by 2 foot.
Yeah.
And you know how Games Workshop don't make the Realm of Battle boards anymore.
Yeah.
Shall we order 6 of those pizzas and then play a game across the pizza boxes?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some value in that.
And shall we have some sides, some pizza bread sides or something? And they can be the hills and the terrain.
They can be the terrain.
Or
Yeah,
we could go to the London that event in London that just done the same out of polystyrene. What was that?
The London GT.
Yeah, or we could go there. I think that's maybe we could get some sort of sponsorship from them.
Yeah, you could be onto something there, I think.
What is it that we're talking about? It's like painted miniatures. We're talking about
painted miniatures.
So,
unlike painted terrain, which we clearly don't care as long as it's a pizza box.
But you could play a game for the pizza. If you hold that objective, you get that pizza.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay. So painted miniatures.
I asked, how do people usually play their games? So do you usually play fully painted, unpainted, or a mix? So what would you prefer? Because I think we would all prefer fully painted models. I think that's like a bit of a no-brainer, really. But how do you usually go about playing your games?
So I normally play all painted. It's quite rare for me not to. Although just recently I played the new Underworlds, and I played using just a bare plastic, the Sons of Velmorn or something, I think they're called, just because there wasn't rival decks for the bands, or I didn't believe there were rival decks for the bands that I had, but my understanding now is slightly different, that there are actually 4 core rivals decks that can be used for any war band. But anyway, I didn't think there was. And also when we played at Necromunda weekend, I had 2 miniatures that weren't painted because they were fanatics, and I wanted to have a couple, and I can't remember what happened, but something happened in the week which meant I couldn't paint them when I had sort of allotted to paint them. But it is quite rare. I don't think I've used a miniature that's plastic forever. Like, I can't ever remember doing it. They're always undercoated or in some semblance of progress.
I tend to think that I buy and assemble and paint my miniatures, and then they're ready for the tabletop.
Yeah.
And they don't go to the tabletop unless they've gone through that process. Now, the exception would be if we've got an event coming up or a tournament coming up and we want to try out our lists and we don't know what will work or what won't work, then we might proxy something in, or I might say, look, I know this is going in my list. I'm painting it for the event, but I haven't got it painted yet, but I need to get my practice games in. So then let's play with a mix.
Yeah.
Ultimately, for me, and as you said, for you, we will endeavour to do our absolute best to get a fully painted army, fully based, everything done on the table, because we like that. We like it to be visually spectacular. We like our armies to tell a story. We like them to have a theme. But do I mind if that's not what my opponent's into, if I can still have a good game and a good chat with them and stuff like that? I think I prefer it to be painted. But when I played Tom at the Necromunda weekend, we played a bit of Warhammer 8th edition Fantasy Battles, and his heroes and war machines were unpainted, but it didn't bother me, to be honest, because I just want to roll dice with Tom. So I think it's a bit of a me thing more than a overall hobby thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I've already said on other two Dannies, depending on what order you watch them in, Um, that for me, I would rather play a painted army. Um, now, if it was within our gaming group, and for example, we were getting ready for an event, and you said to me, Dan, and actually, this is most people, I find people within our group, if we're going to use something unpainted, we invariably ask the other person if they mind. In that case, no, I wouldn't mind, because it's about helping you out and getting ready for that event. But generally, I would rather either sit and have a painting evening or go and have a beer than play a game with unpainted miniatures on it, because for me, I've said it before, it's the immersion and the time factor. If I'm going to invest the time to play a game, I want it to be as best it can be.
I think
certainly from my own point of view, for my own army, I would rather not play the game and spend that time getting the models ready than play the game.
I think though we have to remember that although I think everybody would want to play with painted miniatures, there are a couple of things really that are on my mind there when you said that, is that we're lucky that we can do this, and if we don't do this over Skype or Zoom or whatever, you live 10 minutes walk from my front door. So I can just go, right, Dan, shall we do some painting? And you go, yeah. And then I'll pop over or whatever, and we'll do some more. I'll say, I'm at the painting desk. And someone else might say, I'm at the painting desk. And and we can make painting social. And I think we're quite fortunate that, for example, Tom sets aside an hour every day for painting. So he'll always be free at a certain time. And we've got that time to get the painting done. But I think we have to remember that painting can be a very solo thing to do, and people want to get the social aspect of the hobby, and they want to play games with people, and you might not have time because of work, kids, the rest of it, to actually paint all your models, but you want to get that game and you want to be meeting people and what have you. So from that perspective, I completely get it, but I think we're just fortunate that we have partners and lives and things that kind of accommodate us being able to have our time to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I still wouldn't want to go to an event with unpainted miniatures. So.
It's funny, the events that you go to, isn't it? I think we went to Warhammer World on. It's funny because we go to Warhammer World and we just go, right, we're going to go to Warhammer World this weekend, and then we go. But I seem to remember there was a time where we went twice, and each time there was already an event on, but we just wanted to be at Warhammer World because we like the buzz and we like the environment and we like to build our models in Bugmans or not. And the first time we were there, it was like a super competitive event, and the painting standard was really poor. To be honest, there wasn't a lot of painted armies, and there was all like the new stuff that had just been released, just hitting the tabletop and stuff like that. And then we went to a narrative doubles event. And the way people had made their armies fit each other's across different factions and things, and the love that they put into them. And some really interesting things. I can remember I was chatting to some people who had brought a Living City army, which is what I play. And they brought steam tanks. But because they're in the realm of life, they all repair themselves and they fuse back together, and they've done different things to kind of represent that in the modeling of them. And I thought that was really cool. Whereas in the other event, there was someone who'd done a bit, I don't want to keep going on about it, but you remember that dwarf army you were going to make where they were all going to be the ancestors of the heroes?
Yeah.
And you were just going to wash them like ghostly blue or whatever. There's like a bit of that going on at the competitive event. So it's interesting to see I think you could look at an army and you could almost say what kind of gamer that person is.
I still think that was a cool idea, but
no, I think you're right, because you can still tell the story with it. Well, there's still time. You could still do that. It'd be very quick and easy to do.
Yeah. So did you have a poll? Did we have a poll?
Yeah, we had a poll. So it was, how do you usually play your games? Fully painted, unpainted, or a mix? And unpainted was 4%. So most people are getting paint on their models before they see the tabletop, which is great. And fully painted was 47%, and a mix was 49%.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have anything more to add, Mr. Jolly?
No. No,
I
don't.
thought you were going to give us some insight, because I can remember talking to you about how you find the time to do your painting, and about how like you'll come down and watch the telly with Harriet, but you might have like a little knee tray or something, and you might paint like one model or something. It was just like the ways that you squeeze in your painting time.
Yeah, I used to do that more. I found since we've had the kids, it's harder, because what we did before the kids is I had like a little desk that was in the front room. So then Harriet could watch the telly and I could paint, because she likes to be in the same room. Like, and obviously my little hobby space up here is up out of the way.
Yeah,
it is hard to find the time to paint. I think the most effective way I've ever found is just to try and get 15 or 20 minutes every day, like before bed or in the morning, particularly if you're struggling with motivation, because although that sounds a bit weird, but because you're having to do it every day, but eventually you build up a habit through repetition. And even if it's just 10 minutes sitting at the desk getting the brush out, you'll find, or I find, that I get drawn into it. So you set a little goal of like 10 minutes to overcome the barrier of actually getting and sitting down to it. I also find it really helpful if you don't have loads of unpainted models everywhere. Put them away so that what you're seeing is the fruits of your labor, not the challenges ahead.
Well, I did that for a while, and what I found was I was quite surprised. But I did so much a day, but then by the end of the week, I was like, "Blimey, I've actually done like quite a lot."
Yeah, that's good.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, leave a comment. Let us know about your opinions on today's topic. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more from the two Dannies next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.